Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the Math 0361 Practice Test 3. In question 12, you'll notice that it gives us an ordered pair 4 and blank. What this means is x equals 4, but we don't know what y is. No problem. Let's just replace x with 4 and see what happens. So we'll do 8 times 4 plus 5. 8 times 4 is 32, and 32 plus 5 is 37. That's it. Question 13 is going to work the exact same way. Here's what makes 13 different from 12. They give you a list of 4 numbers. Well, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to do this 4 times. So, let's start from the top. Negative 5. So that's going to go negative 8 times negative 5 minus 8. Well, negative 8 times negative 5 is 40. 40 minus 8 is 32. That's your first answer. Okay, let's replace x with 0. Negative 8 times 0 minus 8. Well, negative 8 times 0 is 0, but 0 minus 8, back to negative 8. Your second answer. Now replace x with 1. So negative 8 times 1 minus 8. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8, but negative 8 subtract 8, negative 16. And 2. Negative 8 times 2 minus 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16, but negative 16 minus 8, negative 24. And there it is. Okay, so for question 14, they'd like us to complete the table, identify who's the x-intercept and who's the y-intercept, and plot the points. So, one thing at a time. First, I see under x, there's a 0. So let's replace x with 0 and see what happens. So you have negative 2 times 0 plus 5y equals 10. I love 0 because 2 times 0 is 0, so it really just goes away. So for 5y equals 10, we just have to divide by 5, and what you get is y equals 2. And you know what this is? This is actually the y-intercept. How do I know? Well, the y-intercept is asking, what is y when x is 0? Well, when x is 0, y is 2. So the y-intercept, I'm going to put the point 0, 2. Okay. Under y, I see the number 0. Let's replace y with 0 and do the same thing. So negative 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 10. Well, 0 again. 5 times 0 is 0, so that goes away, leaving negative 2x equals 10. Then divide by negative 2. So for that, you get x equals negative 5. And also, this is known as the x-intercept, because the x-intercept asks, what is x when y is equal 0? Well, it's negative 5. So let's get negative 5. That doesn't look good. Let's see if we can undo it. There we go. Try again. Negative 5, comma 0. Okay, and then finally under y there's a 4. So let's replace y with 4 and see what happens. So you get negative 2x plus 5 times 4 equals 10. 5 times 4 is equal to 20. So we're going to have to subtract 20 on both sides. So that means negative 2x equals to negative 10. And then divide by negative 2. So that means x will equal to 5. Barely had enough room to get it in there. We're now ready to plot the points. So 0, 2 means go 2 straight up. Okay, 1, 2. Put a big red dot right there. Negative 5, 0 means go 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big blue dot right there. And 5, 4 means 5 to the right, 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's our points. And I think we're right, and you know why? Because all 3 points are lined up. What that means is, if you wanted to connect the dots, you can. Okay, graph the linear equation, x equals 2. Well, guess what? If it's x equals to anything, any number at all, the answer is always a vertical line. This is what you do. Find out where x is 2. 1, 2, right there. Put a dot there. And then literally draw a straight line going up and down. That's what vertical means. And done. Well, guess what? If x is vertical, then that means y must be horizontal. So first find out where y is negative 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this time draw a straight line going left to right. Like so. Another good graph. Okay, for number 17, they would like us to graph the equation 2x minus y equals 8. Well, here's some good news. If you want to graph a straight line, you only need 2 points. And here's the easiest way to do this. The first step is have y equal 0. Because if y is 0, that means 2x minus 0 equals 8. Well, 0 is 0, I don't need it. So 2x equals 8, divide by 2, so you get x equals 4. So your first point is 4, 0. Alright, next, let's have x equals 0 and see what happens. This becomes 2 times 0 minus y equals 8. And again, since 2 times 0 is 0, that just goes away. So you're left with negative y equals 8. Notice that there's nothing in front of y. Well, there is something. Happens to be a 1, or in this case a negative 1. Okay, well, divide by negative 1. See what happens. 8 divide negative 1 is negative 8. So another good point is 0, negative 8. We got 2 really good points. Let's make one really good graph. So, 4, 0 from the center. 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. If it'll let me. Okay, there we go. 0, negative 8. From the center, 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just enough. But once that's taken care of, connect the dots. There you go. Nice picture. Okay, so for 18, they'd like us to find the slope. And I have the slope formula listed up here. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. But here's what it really means. First subtract the y's, then subtract the x's, and when you're done, divide your answers. Let's start with the y's. The y's are 1 and negative 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 minus negative 3. Well, two minus signs next to each other becomes a plus, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, that's fine. Next, let's do negative 2 minus 4. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. And when you're done, try to do 4 divide negative 6. And since they're both even numbers, it does reduce. It becomes negative 2/3. That is the slope. Alright, let's do the second one, part B. We'll start with the y's. They're 5. Okay. I like that. 5 minus 5 is 0. So that part's over. Let's do the x's. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So then the last step is 0 over negative 6. Here's the thing. If you ever have a 0 on top of a fraction, the answer is just plain old 0. Alright, let's do part C. Again, start with the y's. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Okay. Let's do the x's. Negative 4 minus negative 4. Well, again, two negatives right next to each other becomes a plus. And negative 4 plus 4 is actually 0. Now, this is a special case. If you ever get 0 on the bottom, it's something called undefined. And that is your answer. In fact, if you're unsure, try to do negative 4 divide 0 in your calculator. If you do, you're going to get an error message. Either it will say divide by 0 or error domain. Don't be alarmed when you see errors like that. Some errors are good. If you put something in the calculator and it says error domain, that means you did it correctly. There's just no answer. And that's what happens sometimes. It's undefined. Okay, so we have to decide whether the slope is up, down, horizontal, or vertical. So, notice A, negative 4/5. If it's negative, it's going down. Notice for part B, 0 on top. If there's a 0 on top, that means it's horizontal. And notice part C. If there's a 0 on the bottom, it's vertical. And then part D, 2 is positive. Positive means it's going up. 20 would like us to find the slope. The number one rule is to get y alone. Good news, y is alone. When y is alone, whatever number is in front of x is the slope. Well, negative 2/5 is in front of x, so that must be the slope. And that's your answer. So that concludes part 2 of the practice test 3 review. Go to our Google Sites website and tune into the final part 3 review. Thank you.